Well, seeing Voldemort's flaccid penis wasn't on my 2025 bingo card, but here we are.
Some war becomes home.
Give the man the bow.
Ooh, how exciting! A retelling of the final chapters of the Odyssey when the great hero Odysseus washes up on the shores of his home, which is a real shithole because he's been away for 20 years. And everyone is horrible and everything is awful and it's just one depressing pile of darkness. And he has haunting PTSD from the Siege of Troy. Huzzah. The Return stars Ralph Fiennes as great hero Odysseus, who couldn't look less like a great hero if he was an actual skeleton. He washes up on the shores of his home island of Ithaca and is nursed back to health by some locals who live under terror of his wife's suitors, who are many, and they are threatening her to choose a new husband, and they will kill her son if she doesn't, and maybe if she does, and also they've been killing locals for weeks, and she does nothing about that. But also Odysseus, having now returned, sits in a hovel with some locals, complains, talks about the war, tells nobody who he actually is. While his son is threatened and runs away, his wife is horribly threatened and lives under eternal stress, and his father dies. It's all going on and he does nothing about it. What a dick. I'm a little confused about a couple of things here, like the timeline, because Odysseus in the Odyssey was gone for like 20 years, and Ralph Fiennes comes back and his hunting dog is still alive. How does that work? Doesn't matter. There are a couple of things like that that are a little bit weird, but it is emotionally powerful, particularly just watching Ralph Fiennes, which is what you do for an awful lot of the film. It very much feels like it's just doing a character study for 80% of the film here. And it is an interesting one, because he is this broken man who doesn't wish to be called a hero. He's one of the great figures of Greek mythology, and you go, oh yes, Odysseus. And seeing him as this kind of broken, PTSD-filled guy, it really strips back all the wonder and the fantastical elements of the Odyssey in favor of just doing this as a character study very much. But then it kind of, I don't want to spoil too much, but it lets back in almost some of the more like, whoa, grand heroic elements a little later on. And I wasn't quite sure what point it was trying to make doing that. Like, the men can be filled with regrets about the horrors they've committed, but just do more. So Odysseus as a character is a bit of a maddening wealth of inconsistencies. Almost everything about his son's character will frustrate you. And all of the suitors, I tell you, it is one of the more haunting depictions of like toxic masculinity that you will see on screen this year, for sure. That was very well done. But in general, a lot of the writing is just, it's not bad. I would call it unremarkable. I think that very much this is a film that builds with a quiet fury to a very satisfying sort of finale. And it is a relatively good film, I thought. But most of that is down to just Ralph Fiennes as a performer rather than anything else. The ending it built to does retrospectively make the rest of the film a lot more watchable. I do almost feel like because of that it's something I'll enjoy more if I rewatched it, which I probably would be willing to do. It is certainly not bad, but it's very much like one of those historical drama quiet films for a long time without any actual action or anything, and then it just leaps into it. And that was weird. That was jarring, you know. Juliette Binoche is very good as his wife, but again is quite a frustrating character at times in certain ways, because she has, as much as I know the men are, all coming in together en masse and trying to vie for her hand and won't leave. Like, she did let the whole island just go to shit and didn't encourage her son to actually step up or anything, like, for years and years, and it doesn't matter. They're all at fault, you feel like, all the characters, and you can't really like any of them that much, but you also can appreciate all of them in other ways, because she is a very strong character in other ways. It's difficult. It's difficult. All of the characters do feel multifaceted. They feel a lot more complex than you would expect, almost. It's a drama, it is, with a weirdly exciting conclusion, and I feel like it is difficult, particularly this part of the Odyssey. It's a difficult, ridiculously hard poem to adapt into a film. I don't know how Christopher Nolan's going to do it, but particularly just focusing on this part, it's a very interesting thing to do. It's kind of worth doing, but it is also tough to pull off correctly, yeah. So I'm giving the most jacked 60-year-old man in history 3.5 stars. You have to love that this is when Ralph Fiennes in his life decided to get super jacked for a role and get his dick out. At 60, it's a choice, and it helped make this as bizarre and epic as they probably wanted it to be. No, not epic as in, really great, but